Hi, hello, and welcome to my video. It's been a little bit, maybe about a month or so since I've posted a video, but that's not because I haven't been trying. I had a problem of some sort with my video files transferring from my USB to my computer, and everything just kept corrupting. So I filmed a bunch of stuff, but it's all gone. So today I wanted to show you the acrylic gouache set I got. It's the Holbein, I don't know how to say it. But this is like, I guess you could say, my dream art supply. I've wanted to try this for so long because everybody can, like, everything I see, all of the colors are so matte, so flat, so beautiful. And I was like, yes, I need these. But look at how bright the colors are. Look at how clean these little tubes are. It's so wonderful. The swatches here, that's the only thing I was able to salvage from my first video, because this is actually my second attempt at painting a plant with these gouaches. So this is just the swatching process. I went through and just used the colors straight out of the tube, and then I watered it down a little and just did a gradient to, I don't know, the best I could. I've used other gouache before, but I've just never been able to achieve what I've wanted to with it. I don't know the water control yet, but I think you'll see that I kind of figured out a little in this video. Starting to lay the base colors is always so much fun because the colors just go on so smooth, they're so pigmented, and everything is just so beautiful. This is probably the most fun I've ever had with an art supply. I used to love watercolor, which I still do. It's just, for some reason, I'm scared of it. But this was honestly one of the most fun experiences I've had with art in a bit. I got these on sale, otherwise I probably wouldn't have got them. But just trying a new art supply, especially one that's really expensive, I mean, these aren't even that expensive, they're just more expensive than I would have liked. But I always have that fear of like, oh no, if I do something bad or I mess up, then I'm going to waste it, and then I wasted that money. And I had a huge fear when I painted the other one of just wasting my money because I was doing a bad job. But you just have to tackle it. I've been trying different ways to film because I got a tripod and I've been able to set it up to get better angles, and it doesn't, like, the camera's not bobbing all over the place because of the little arm that I have. So to film this, I had to sit at such a weird angle. Well, okay, like, I wasn't sitting weird, but everything is so far forward on my desk. I mean, back. It's so hard to explain. It's towards the back of my desk. I'm towards the front of the desk. So I couldn't really see what I was doing half the time. And since I had this whole issue when I painted the first one, I had planned on painting this one that I'm painting now off camera, just so I could have fun with it and, like, I wouldn't be stressed. But obviously that didn't happen. So I'm definitely going to keep playing around with the way I have my camera set up, especially because later you'll see, like, with small details, sometimes my hand gets in the way and you can't really see what I'm doing. So I'll definitely have to figure that out. But because I was so mentally done, I just stopped talking. So this video is basically just me, silent, kind of angry, still here for a good time. And the parts where I actually was talking, my neighbor was mowing. So there's just a lot of background noise. So I ended up cutting almost all of the audio from the original video and just decided to go with voiceovers. I was so surprised with how like vibrant these colors are. I knew that you could achieve this like super vibrant matte look with gouache, specifically acrylic gouache, but like I hadn't had that experience until this. There's a lot of artists on Instagram and here on YouTube that their style and the way they use gouache is just so beautiful. Like everything is so sharp, it's very crisp, the colors aren't muddy, and it's not like there's not a lot of blending, it's just like straight colors. And I've always wanted to try that, so I was kind of trying to do that with these. I didn't want to blend the colors too much. I didn't want to have different tones in like the leaves and certain areas that were green. I wanted them to all be the same color green that was on that leaf. I also learned very quickly while working on the first piece that a little bit of this paint goes a really long way, so you're not having to use a ton of it. I felt like with the jelly gouache, I was just using so much paint, and I don't know why I felt that way. Maybe it was because it was like a whole open tub and I was just dipping into it versus like squeezing out a tiny bit of color. But with these, it didn't take a lot. I've switched over to a smaller fine liner brush to try to get some of those details in the leaves. I struggled a little with this because I wanted to keep it simple, but I also wanted it to kind of look a little realistic. So I didn't go for the exact pattern that's on the leaves. I just kind of went for something that would represent something similar. As I mentioned earlier, this is a little painting of one of my plants. It's one of my calatheas. It's also known as the rattlesnake plant. I'll put a picture on screen. But I love this plant so much. It's just so cool how it changes like its appearance, whether it's light or dark, with how it like closes up or it's just like all branched out and flowy. Whenever I can't figure out something that I want to sketch or something I want to do, I always just revert back to looking around at like the tons of plants I have in this room. The pot that I have for my plant, it's white and like this really pretty pinkish color, and that's where I got the inspiration to do the one to the right, because that plant, its pot is more the color of the one I'm painting now. I don't know why I flip-flopped them. I think it had to do with like I just really wanted to do a blue background and I thought that pink/red color would look good. But with this one, I just decided to go for like a more brown, not terracotta, but like just a more yellow-brown look. But I wanted to keep the white accents because I liked how that looked on the other one. Everything else is so heavy with color, to just have some places that are a little empty, for some reason, just makes me happier. I was really missing that pinkish color that the pot was supposed to be, but I didn't want to go too light, so I ended up going dark. And I think I went too dark. There's not a lot of contrast between the colors. Everything is just, I don't know, if it were either, no, honestly, it would have just looked better if it was the color on the bottom part of the other pot instead of the top. By the time I got to the background, I think I had finally started figuring out the consistency the gouache needs to be able to get the look that I want. And, you know, I kind of wish that had come to me a little earlier instead of finishing 2 paintings basically. But better late than never. So the consistency, I don't know, it can't be too watery, but it can't be too solid. It's a fine line. I also learned that I have a terrible habit of trying to use a brush that is way bigger than I need for the area I'm trying to paint. I finally gave up on using the larger brush and I switched to a smaller round brush. This made things a lot easier. And again, where I had to have the sketchbook so far to the back of my desk, it was so hard to get these really tight little, I guess these aren't details, but to get in those small spaces without having to go back in and reline everything. But as you know, spoiler alert, I guess I end up having to go back and re-outline everything. But honestly, I'm happy that I had to go back and do it because adding the more rich color for the outlines just helped so much. There just wasn't a lot of separation between the colors, and I felt like it needed maybe like a white outline just to make it more separated. But this darker color, I think, really did the trick. So I guess Bob Ross was right. Just happy accidents. It worked out. Since doing these paintings, I have found myself reaching less for my iPad, and I just want to paint more. But before, I would always get into the mindset of, ugh, painting is just so tedious. You have to go get your water, you gotta get your brushes, you gotta get your stuff to clean your brushes off, like paper towels or like a rag. And then you've got to get out your palette and you figure out your colors and just, it's just so much. But this experience, for some reason, like with this gouache, I can easily cover up a color. Like if I mess up, I can easily fix it. And that's the one thing that's always made me really skittish with traditional mediums, because like if you mess it up, you mess it up. And I'm always terrified because I don't want to have to redo something that I've put hours into. I had to do that one time, and that's all it took. And then it just scared me. But with this, like I said, I can fix my mistakes. I can go back over something. I can flesh something out over the other colors. It doesn't matter if it's lighter or darker. And I just think that is so cool. The white, of course, takes a couple of layers, but not nearly as many as you would think. I'm definitely gonna have to get like a large tube of the white. This paint doesn't take very long to dry, but I found myself increasingly impatient towards the end, and a couple of these little white stars, they weren't as clean as I wanted them to be, but I was also mentally tapped out. I was done. So I added my signature and voila! So this is how it turned out. It's the finished piece next to my other finished one. I really like how they look, especially together, because the style is so similar. I am notorious for not having a style. I just kind of do whatever feels right at the time. I like jumping around and doing different things, but I really like that this sketchbook spread is very cohesive. It's kind of halfway between a sketch and a finished piece. I think that might be why I like it so much. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for hanging out with me. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. Like and comment on this video. Let me know which one you like better, if you like the one on the left that I just did, or if you like the one on the right. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!